What's up, everybody? BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. If you guys are like me, then you probably know who Joe Rogan is. I actually enjoy Joe Rogan's podcast quite a bit, and I listen to it fairly frequently. I shouldn't say every day because I don't listen to it every day. Maybe once or twice every couple of weeks. But I do follow a lot of people that pick clips from his show because I generally do agree with a lot of what he says. So I do enjoy what he usually has to say. But today I've got a little different story on Mr. Rogan because he kind of went a little off the deep end and showed a little his boomer moment. He was talking some shite about video games in one of his latest podcasts. Now, not talking smack as in like they're terrible. Matter of fact, from what I understand, he's actually a pretty big gamer himself, and he enjoys them. He goes on to say that he loves them, but he's got a problem with them, and I think this problem relates to a lot of us on a bigger level than just video games, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, unfortunately I can't play the video for you because if I was to actually show you the video of his little podcast that he did, YouTube would smack me down with the copyright strikes. But I think I can get away with playing the audio for it, so I'm gonna try and play the little audio clip that he had. Hopefully it doesn't get tagged. But we're gonna play that, and then I'll kind of. Once it's done, I'll come back and I'll kind of explain what I picked from it, what he means by it, and how it relates to you and I on a cultural level, not just a video game level. So listen in. Here's what he had to say.
Video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're f***ing fun.
Addictive.
And you don't. Yeah. Well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them, and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere. Right. It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jujitsu. You get obsessed by jujitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jujitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jujitsu school, and your jujitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun, and you don't. Or you could just be playing fucking video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
Okay, so he begins his little spiel by saying that video games are a real problem, and he says it's not. The problem is it's not so much the violence or what the normal cliche aspects are, the violence, the misogyny, the sexism that's involved in all of them. That's not the problem with video games to Mr. Rogan. The problem with video games is they are too fucking fun, as he says. Too effing fun. They're real, exciting. But he also goes on to say that you don't get anywhere playing them. So he continues by saying you could be doing something exciting and fun. You could just be playing video games. 3 years later, he goes on and he uses an analogy. He compares somebody playing video games for 3 straight years and someone learning, I think he mentions karate or jujitsu for 3 years. And he says that at the end of the 3 years, the person who spent that 3 years playing video games will have accomplished nothing and has wasted the last 3 years, whereas the gentleman or the lady who studied karate or jujitsu or whatever it is he says, at least he can then go on to use that as a way to teach a class, or to do other things, participate in tournaments and stuff like that, which is a really weird analogy for him to say, because if you really delve into it, karate and video games are almost identical in how they play out. So if I spent 3 years playing Call of Duty, and I spent 3 years of practicing karate, I would be arguably as good in each specific category as the other, right? At the end of the 3 years. Now, if I am studying karate, according to Mr. Rogan, after that 3 years, I can then teach a class and I can earn money teaching new kids how to play karate or how to perform karate, right? But for whatever reason, the 3 years I spent playing Call of Duty doesn't lead me to that same aspect. For some reason, there's a disconnect in Joe Rogan's mind that this leads to this, but video games doesn't lead to that. Even though, how many articles do you see talking about reviewing a new video game, or this video game is the new culture hotness, or this video game really emphasizes the need for this in our culture. How many of you guys go to IGN.com just to figure out where do I go to hunt Taken Vex, or in Destiny 2, or how do I achieve this trophy in my favorite PlayStation game? You go to IGN, right? Or you go to some other website, YouTube for that matter. Coincidentally, Mr. Rogan had the biggest YouTube channel on the planet, has apparently never looked at YouTube, because you go there to figure out how to do something in a video game. So if that's not there, if no one writes that story, if playing video games didn't lead that person to writing that story, how is that story on the internet for me to go find out how to unlock every dress in Final Fantasy VII? Right? Someone had to write that article. It just didn't poof magically appear out of thin air. So this brings me to my bigger problem, with this idea of video games. And they say a lot of things. They say that it's bad for your physical health. That's completely untrue with games like Wii Fit, or basically any virtual reality game that you can think of has you moving full body motion around. Now, whether you're literally like weightlifting, doing the bench press, or if you're just moving your arms in a bench press like manner, you're still working out your muscles. You're still moving the tendons and the joints around to the point that they become flexible enough to continue being moved around. That's health. They say walking is actually more beneficial for you than running, because you can do it for longer periods of time. You're not doing any more physical activity when you're walking than you are when you're running, but you're getting a better workout out of it because you can do it for prolonged periods of time. So this idea that like they're inherently a waste of time is completely incorrect on the fact of just that alone. And then his other thing is they don't lead to anything of some sort of financial gain. Well, we know that's also false because Ninja just signed with YouTube for like $50 million or whatever it was. Not very long ago, he signed with Mixer. Shroud signed with Mixer for $100 million. Before he got kicked off of Twitch, Dr. Disrespect was making like $7 or $8 million a year streaming video games. Omarosa doesn't even play video games. And she's on a video game streaming site, and I've heard her net worth is like $8 or $9 million a year. So for Joe Rogan to like go and say something like this, so just completely ignorant, especially coming from a gentleman like Joe Rogan, whose biggest platform is the podcast platform. I listen to his show. Now, what he's thinking is, I guess you can listen to a podcast while you practice karate. at the same time. So listening to a podcast is not the same as watching somebody play video games. I can also put Twitch on in the background while I weight lift or do whatever it is that I'm doing. So this just seems so out of touch. And what made me want to do do a video on this is because I think this is a very uniquely but commonly American misconception. So, and what I mean by that is this is on a bigger level than just what you do in your off time, right? This is bigger than just what you do for your hobbies. A lot of people have hobbies. Some people collect stamps. That's not going to get you anywhere in the future, you know, but a lot of people take their time and they really look hard on eBay and on Amazon and Craigslist and they go to these like different conventions and stuff looking for very specific stamps to add to their collection. But it's not going to be mutually beneficial, financially beneficial in the end. You know, unless they plan on giving it to their child, who is then going to wait until he's ready to retire and then sells those stamps for a lucrative profit, which, one, probably not going to happen. Two, if that is not the reason that your hobby is collecting stamps, then according to Joe Rogan, it's a waste of time. It is a waste of time. This is the very uniquely American capitalistic idealism. You know, the idea of capital, the idea of American exceptionalism is everything you do leads to you or someone you work for earning profit. You know, every minute of every day that you are alive and in America, your sole purpose is to work towards profit. Put someone's profit in your front view mirror and just ram it every minute of every single day. It is uniquely American in this way. We're not the only capitalistic society, but we're the only society that tells people that if you are not earning money or doing something to earn money, you are wasting your time. And it shows. I mean, it is almost absurd how big the push for work is in America, directly related to the stress levels that Americans have compared to every other developed country. For example, the latest Gallup poll ranks the United States as the number 7 most stressed country in the world. You want to know the 6th ahead of us? Sri Lanka, Iran, Albania, Tanzania, the Philippines, and Greece. All of which are third world countries. Greece, most of all, literally just had an economic collapse and also got hit harder than 90% of the world with the coronavirus. It makes perfect sense why they're the most stressed people on the planet right now. That makes sense. They had an economic collapse. Their country was failing on the brink of collapse. And then they got hit almost as hard as the United States with the COVID-19 virus. It makes sense that they're stressed out. But the Philippines, Tanzania, Albania, Iran, Sri Lanka, these are not countries that are like America, where you're supposed to have all this freedom to do whatever you want. Iran is not the country that boasts freedom. Albania, Tanzania, these are countries that are literally living as if it's like the turn of the 19th century. These are the only countries that are more stressed out than Americans. The only countries. On top of that, let's see how on top of that, just for another kind of perspective, did you know that almost the entirety of the European Union basically takes off the month of August? No one works. No one goes to school. Government is out. Everybody is basically forced to take a month-long vacation. That's because it's the hottest month of the year, and it's the last month before the beginning of the holiday mad season. They take it off because they realize, hey, you need time to rest. You need time to relax, to be with your family, to remember that there is a community here, not just you. We do not have that in the United States. As a matter of fact, we are the only country in the entire world that does not guarantee paid holidays or paid vacation to their employees. Only country in the world. Russia, China, Yemen guarantees vacation time to all of their people. Zambia, Zimbabwe. You never even heard of this country. Vanuatu guarantees 15 days of holiday pay for everybody in their country. The United States does not. This is a real problem. We are stressing ourselves out. We are putting everything into the machine, and we're not leaving anything for ourselves. This is why we have such huge suicide rates. This is why everybody and their mom is so stressed out. It is a vital part of the capitalistic society to always be making money. It is a uniquely American thing. It is a uniquely capitalistic thing. And it is stressing us out, and it is destroying our humanity. I have a bigger feeling of empathy towards my online community than I do most of the community around me in real life. Half my friends, half the people I would consider my friends, I've never even met in real life. I only know through online gamer tags. It's the only way we can really, truly escape reality, by becoming these online gamer tags and going into this virtual world that we can escape the stress and hustle bustle of everyday life. And that is a genuine problem that we have, that we need to address. Stress is going to kill us. There is a difference between working hard and working to death. The average person in America could not afford a $400 emergency. You're not guaranteed paid vacation days, and you can't even afford a $400 emergency. What is that going to do to you mentally? That is going to stress you out to the point where you think you have to work more, because that is how we've set the society up. If you're not making $8 kajillion billion a minute, you are wasting your time. And that is why we're so stressed out. And that is why everybody hates each other, because we have no time for anything else. And I, again, love Joe Rogan, But I wanted to bring this up because this is exactly the problem. This naivete of ideals. This idea that, you know, you have to be doing something to provide some sort of capital at all times is a disease. It's a disease from the top down to keep those at the bottom from moving up. Because instead of sitting there and wondering what you could do, you're stressing out and working your ass off to pay for that $400 emergency you can't afford. That's generally what I wanted to say about this. In my opinion, video games are not just a fantastic way to just relax, you know? Just to relax, forget about everything going on outside of the exact minute that you happen to be playing that game. And it's a way to de-stress, and it's important. And this idea that if you're not working to provide more capital needs to die. We are already working ourselves to death. And it's only going to get worse if we let this do this. If we keep this mentality. I mean, look at the Kardashians. Look at Paris Hilton. Look at the Jersey Shore. Do you think they really did anything to earn anything? No. And we celebrate them for being rich. We don't look at them and go, wait, why are you on TV? You were literally just born into a rich family. Why are you on TV? No. We look at look at all the money they have. Look at all the fucking stupid crap they can do. They could literally just sit on the couch all week long. That's exactly what I want. But then you go into doing something that you want to do because you enjoy doing it, and people look at you like, you can't earn money doing that. We are mentally, not just mentally confusing, but mentally delusionizing the future of this country. Whether you want to admit it or not, video games are here to stay. And there is plenty of money to be earned by just playing them. Ask Dr. Disrespect, ask Shroud, ask Ninja, Tim the Tap Man. Ask Aiden. Aiden won $3 million at the age of what, 15? Because he was good at playing Fortnite? I'm 38. I don't think I've made $3 million total in my lifetime. Joe Rogan's going to tell me why video games are a waste of time. I love Joe Rogan. I think he's a great person. I think he's generally a good individual. But this boomer mentality needs to die. This idea that if it's not something I find suitable to add to the capitalistic society, then it's not good enough. This mentality needs to die. And that's what I'm here for. To remind you that this mentality needs to die. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me, wishing you a wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. Long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.